closed it. Now the effect is spiraling to the regional economies. JKIA chaos. Kenya's aviation workers were from the outset opposed to the merger deal. They said so in no uncertain terms. AMISOM crackdown. Angry Museveni threatens to pull by disregarding ethno intricacies. Modern economic considerations further complicates almost everything now. LCA accuse. The government can hide truth of statistics, but it cannot force people to ignore the harsh economic realities of everyday life. East African, understanding the region.
This is NTV.
Good afternoon, you're watching NTV at 1. My name is Olive Burrows. We start with news of the Ethiopian Airlines crash that occurred yesterday, and witness accounts of the crash that killed 157 people on board say the plane came down in flames before it exploded after hitting the ground. It has also been reported that the pilot made a distress call and had been cleared to return to the Bole International Airport.
A day after the Ethiopian airline plane crashed near Tulufara village outside the town of Bishoftu, a few kilometers from Bole International Airport, questions are emerging as to what caused the deadly crash. The Nairobi-bound Boeing 737 came down 6 minutes after it took off from Addis Ababa. Witnesses say the airline was already in flames in its rear side and was swerving erratically shortly before it crashed. Officials from Ethiopia say the plane had flown in from Johannesburg earlier Sunday, spent 3 hours in Addis Ababa and was dispatched with no remark, meaning no problems were flagged, even though minutes after takeoff, the pilot made a distress call and was cleared to turn around. The Boeing 737-800 MAX was brand new, delivered to state-owned Ethiopian Airways on November 15th. The plane is the same type as the Indonesian Lion Air jet that crashed last October, 13 minutes after takeoff from Jakarta, killing all 189 people on board. People from 35 countries and 1 UN passport holder were on board flight ET302. Kenya had the largest number of casualties with 32, followed by Canada with 18, Ethiopia 9, then Italy, China and the United States with 8 each. Britain and France each had 7 people on board, Egypt 6 and Germany 5. The last major accident involving an Ethiopian Airlines passenger plane was a Boeing 737-800 that exploded after taking off from Lebanon in 2010, killing 83 passengers and 7 crew. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
We now join Kennedy Mureithi, who's at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, for the latest. Kennedy, earlier we did speak to the CES Transport, that is James Macharia, and he told us they had reached 26 of the 32 Kenyan families affected. Is that the case?
Well, just as you've rightly said, Olive, it is true that 25 families out of the 32 affected have actually been informed, and some of these family members are here at the JKIA airport grounds, whereby they are still being kept up at the Sheraton 4 Points Hotel, which is right now very strictly off bounds for any journalist who would want to either get to the family or get more information about what happened with regards to the plane. But as we also know is that a team has been constituted that is bringing together different people from this aviation sector with regards to setting up a unified center for information gathering and also dissemination, and it is being led by officers here at the KAA and also here at the airport. And earlier on, we had James Macharia, that is the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, give a brief on what is happening and what information they have been able to receive so far from Ethiopia. In the morning, they gave a press conference with the manager for Ethiopian Airlines, and in that press conference, they say that even family members who would want to travel all the way to Ethiopia just to get a first-hand information, they will be flown and catered for free by the Ethiopian Airlines as just a way of trying to get more information on what is happening. But also what we have, the information that has already come to us in the last few minutes, Olive, is that the CNN is reporting that an expected launch of the Boeing 777X that was slated for this Wednesday has been postponed indefinitely. It is actually bidded. It is guided, or it is being said as the biggest plane so far with a capacity of 425. But that launch has been postponed indefinitely following what has happened. Yesterday, the Boeing company was able to send out an alert saying that the accident is unfortunate and it is condoling with the families that lost their loved ones. And this unexpected turn of events has actually pushed forward what is happening. You remember, as Sharon Baranga has been able to tell us in the first story that she's done, that this is not the first accident with regards to the Boeing, and it is now raising concerns with regards to what happened with the Boeing. But that new piece of information that has just also been captured in her story with regards to the flight having come down with fireballs is also another interesting aspect that the investigators will be looking into, and probably in the next brief that we'll be having with the CS James Macharia, because he has said that he will be giving information periodically, probably he will be able to tell us what is the latest with regards to investigations that are coming from Ethiopia. Also, we will be expecting him to tell us whether they've been able to contact the other 7 families from the 7 members who were not found as of this morning, because the press release that was given, or the press conference that was given by James Macharia and the managing director of the Ethiopia Airlines, is that at 8 o'clock this morning, they had only gotten to 25 affected families. So this is information that is coming in, and we do expect probably by later in the day, we will have gotten more information with regards to not just the accident, but probable causes or what that accident would have been caused. We've reported that it went down 6 minutes after takeoff. Probably the other one from Indonesia went down 13 minutes after takeoff. What will be the problem? These are the things that we'll be asking, probably whether James Macharia has been properly briefed. He told us that Captain Lunani, who is also in charge of aircraft accident investigations, is already on his way to Ethiopia, if he is not there. But then he'll be able to tell us what more. This is part of the interview. This is part of the press release that was there in the morning by CS James Macharia.
You know, investigations are still ongoing, and our colleague from Ethiopian Airlines may talk a bit more about that in terms of investigations. As you know, these kind of things take time, and so we are seeking for patience in terms of allowing the investigators, the specialists, the experts to carry out this very complex process of investigation. On our part, because Kenya is an interested party, we had the highest number of casualties. The aircraft was destined for Nairobi. We should also be participating in the investigations. That's why we shall be sending the director of air accident investigation, Captain Lunani, to be part of that team.
As of yesterday, we have grounded all Boeing B737-8 MAX fleet, which Ethiopian Airlines was operating and which was involved in yesterday's accident, as a precaution safety measure. But this does not mean that the incident was related with defects on this specific fleet.
Well, Olive, we could not independently confirm whether the Ethiopian airline flight that was supposed to touch down at 10:30 here at the GKIA got here, because we were not allowed to go to those sites. But we do expect probably that later on in the press briefing that will be told by CS Macharia, he will be either confirming this, because at the JKIA, probably if my camera person Jen could be able to show, is that everything is going on as normal. Flights are leaving. Those that are coming in, and information as we do have it right now is that we will be receiving information periodically from James Macharia, that is the CES in charge of roads and transport, and media have been given a space at the VIP premises here at the JKIA, so that they could just wait. We do not know how long we are going to wait, only that we know the couches are very cozy for us to wait.
Kennedy, before you go, last week, of course, we had members of the Kenya Aviation Workers Union striking. This morning, they entered into a plea agreement. Are they back to work?
Just by the airport right now everything is going on as normal. We've also seen numbers that are coming in, probably loved ones bringing their people who are departing for other countries, and also those who are being picked up here at the airport. The only thing that I can say is that there is no hitch. If there is, probably it is on a go-slow, but on the face of it, everything is going on as normal. Probably they have already gone back to work. We've heard that they have been getting into some agreements, but if everything is going on as normal, then we do not have a problem. But it is a matter that we would really want to also find out, so that we can give our viewers more details in our subsequent bulletins.
Update. Kennedy Muredi speaking to us from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, from the Ethiopian Airlines plane crash tragedy, on to another tragedy, this time in Kiambu County. A 7-year-old boy and his mother were yesterday shot dead in a suspected botched robbery. The boy's father survived the incident at Kamiti and Mar village in Kiambu County.
Residents of Kamiti Anmar village in Kiambu County are living in fear and shock after 2 members of a family were brutally murdered.
Tulikuwa tunafikiri ni kama polisi wanafanya msako juu kuna ploti hapa, na saa zingine hata watu wengine wanapigania makeresa. Tulikuwa tunafikiri ni kama wakaaji wa hapa, lakini baadaye tulisikia mlipuko wa kitu kama, tulikuwa tunafikiri ni stima ama gas, lakini kutoka nje hapa tukakuta ni wezi.
Among the dead are Esther Wanjiku Kamau and her 7-year-old son, who were allegedly shot at close range. The husband, John Kamau, a known businessman in the area, survived the incident and is recuperating at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Family members claim the gang of about 5 men struck the home minutes after 9 p.m, demanding money. They then shot the family members, killing 2 of them instantly before fleeing.
Wanaweza kuja kwetu na watuelezee, ndio tuweze kusaidiana nao, na tujue hasa kiini ya hii uhalifu ni nini.
Kwa muda huo wote nimekaa zaidi ya miaka 10, hatujawahi kuona kitendo kama hiki. Hiki ni kitendo ambacho kimehuzunisha wakaaji wa hapa. Hata kulingana na vile mnaona, watu wameshangaa, wanashindwa nini vyote.
Local residents are now calling for the construction of a police post in the village. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
And from that to political matters, Kiminini Member of Parliament Chris Wamalwa is urging President Uhuru Kenyatta to support his deputy William Ruto's 2022 presidential bid. The Member of Parliament, who was speaking at the Sirisia Stadium in Bungoma County, urged supporters and members of the National Super Alliance to jump ship and join Jubilee the same way the principal Raila Odinga has done.
Sasa wana Jubilee walikuwa wakikuja hapa wakituambia tupatie 20 years. 10 years ya Uhuru Kenyatta na 10 years ya William Samoei Ruto. Sasa huyu anakula 10, Sasa inafika 10 ya William Ruto, tunaona dalili ya sifu anataka kumruka. Nauliza, hii ni ungwana kweli? Na sisi katika upande mwingine, we got sympathetic to William. And I'm telling you, right now, kura ikikuja saizi ya president, William Samoei Ruto is the president of this country. Ile Mungu ameshika, hata binadamu mjishike wangapi, mlete scandals ngapi, yote inashindwa.
Staying with politics, TRT Member of Parliament William Kamket has dared Deputy President William Ruto to resign if he is not content with President Uhuru Kenyatta's leadership regarding the war on graft. Kamket was speaking during a fundraiser in aid of women's groups in Kadogi, TRT constituency. I apologize.
If the Deputy President feels that he is no longer part and parcel of government, he should begin by resigning tomorrow. I want to challenge William Ruto to resign immediately if he doesn't believe in the administration of Uhuru Kenyatta anymore. Because what the president has done is that he has said he is fighting corruption. Is he therefore equating himself to corruption? Is he saying he's the one who stole this money? If he is making that admission, let him resign immediately.
Kamket speaking in Kadogoi in TRT constituency. Now, let's join Oko Kusa. Oko Kusa is in Kisumu, where there has been a task force meeting on the sugar sector. Earlier, we saw the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, speaking. Kusa, what did he have to say?
Yes, Olive, the former Prime Minister, as you've mentioned, they has addressed the gathering here. It is a meeting that has brought together stakeholders from the sugar industry. And what came out in his speech is that he's pushing for privatization of the government's or state-owned factories that are found within Nyanza and, of course, in Western. And again, he also spoke about the merger. He's also proposing merger of these factories that have not been performing so well. Remember, most of the private or public mills actually have not been performing to par. Actually, they are overburdened by loans and credits, as we've just heard from the Public Privatization Commission MD, who is presenting as we speak now, and is talking of billions of shillings that these public mills are owed. I mean, are owing farmers in terms of payment arrears and stuff like that. So the former Prime Minister, as he was giving his speech there, sort of threw his weight behind privatization of these public mills that have been underperforming for quite some time, and some of them actually teetering on the verge of collapse. We are talking of Muhoroni, we are talking of Chemelil, and of course we know that Miwani collapsed a while back. So a lot of speakers have also given their views here. We've had the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mwangi Kiunjuri, speaking of recommendations that were gathered from a meeting, high-level consultative meeting that was held in Nairobi towards mid of last year, where they spoke about the reintroduction of the sugar development levy, the formation of a team, of a task force, of a legal team to work on legal framework of how to address issues like the debate on zoning and stuff like that. So the CS also spoke about that and threw his weight again behind the privatization of the public mills that have been facing these problems in the sugar industry here. Again, we have also had speakers, members of parliament here who have proposed a raft of issues that they claim, that they believe, if sorted out, will bring some sanity into the sugar industry, which has been facing a lot of problems in the past. Now, remember, the government was supposed to have paid 2.7 billion shillings in arrears to the cane farmers, and so far 1.9 has been dispersed, and that is what was stopping the government-formed task force from conducting what they call public participatory meetings. And now that money has reached farmers, according to what we have heard here, they have given fresh timetables of how they are going to be moving around to conducting these public participatory meetings, which they had to withhold when they realized that there were some hostilities from the farmers who are demanding that they be paid first their arrears before they can sit into those task force meetings to give out their recommendations and feelings. So that is what has happened so far here. Olive, we are waiting for the final presentations, a lot of speakers here presenting. So that will be going on until late into the afternoon, and we'll be here to cover all that for the viewers. Thank you, Olive.
Thank you for staying on that story, Oko. Now on to Raila Odinga's political party matters. ODM women enter the National Governing Council, led by the party's Deputy Secretary General Agnes Zani, want party members who are undermining the handshake to leave the party peacefully. Zani has accused the members of using their positions to mislead the nation on the party's stability. The women leaders pointed out Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa as having one foot in ODM and the other in the Jubilee Party. And now they want her to stop living in denial and walk out of ODM freely.
We recognize Aisha Jumwa as a member of this party and we acknowledge the work that she has done for this party. And what we feel as members of the party is that maybe in the recent past, other interests have been developed by her in terms of having an interest in other parties. And what we said, in ODM, we have a democratic space.
The issue of corruption is a deadly thing, that if it is not tackled, as a nation we are going to sink and will be totally destroyed.
More than 600 public service vehicles plying the Kitengela-Namanga route were grounded this morning in protest against unlicensed private vehicles conducting transport business. 3 PSV SACCOs have accused operators of Probox and Sienta model of vehicles of unfair competition.
Police had difficult time to disperse the matatu operators who are protesting in Kitengela. According to the operators, the Probox has kicked out matatus from the ill-based town to Namanga route. They claim the vehicles are owned by powerful individuals who intimidate and harass them.
Sisi wote ni wa Kenya, kweli tuna citizen ya Kenya. Hasa mtu akikukutishia kwambia nitakuchoma, nitakuhamisha hapa. Alafu kitu kingine mbaya anakwambia kama kuna polisi ulijenga ene nipeleke. Hiyo ni kumaanisha nini?
The matatu owners say the vehicles do not comply with traffic regulations. They claim the officers in charge are compromised and have allowed the vehicles to operate illegally.
Kutoka Thursday last week ziliweza kupatiwa ruhusa na County Commissioner wa Kajiado County pamoja na Base Commander wa Kajiado County ziwe zina operate kutoka Kajiado to Kitengela, of which hizo gari hazija comply na chochote.
The matatu operators are now appealing to the concerned authorities to arrest the situation. Haile Magongo, NTV.
There was a Keza SACCO and now it appears there is EMSO SACCO. More than 3,000 small-scale traders in Kitengela town and its environs are in fear of losing over 200 million shillings after SACCO they were members of closed in unclear circumstances. EMSO SACCO started 5 years ago with members from Kitengela, Mlolongo and Athi River towns. The members say they were depositing as little as 100 shillings a day in hopes of boosting their businesses. The SACCO is said to have since transformed into a real estate agency operating in Nairobi, and efforts to reach its management has borne no fruit.
Pia mimi nilikuwa nimesave na hiyo SACCO inaitwa EMSO, na matarajio yangu ilikuwa ya kwamba nitapata pesa, nipate loan, niweze kuinua biashara yangu, lakini sasa wakaenda na zile pesa zetu na wakafunga ofisi yao. Na tunaambiwa director ambaye alikuwa mwenye kampuni hii, mwenye SACCO hii ambaye anaitwa Ruben Kitau aliweza kutoweka, na hata ofisi ile nyingine tumejaribu kutafuta hatumpati, na tunaambiwa ni pastor, na tunashangaa ni wa kanisa ambalo linaitwa Osana.
Ikafika mahali hii SACCO tukaanza kuapply loan. Baada ya kuapply loan ikafika hatupati loan. Hii SACCO sasa tukaendelea nayo, na vile tulikuwa tunaendelea nayo tukafika mahali sasa ikafika ikakorapse. Na baada ya kukorapse, tangu hiyo wakati hatujawahi pata hiyo pesa yetu.
An acute shortage of veterinary officers has hit Homa Bay County. The County Executive Committee member of Agriculture, Juma Aguko, told NTV that the county has only 40 vets, most of whom have clocked the retirement age. This revelation comes at a time when livestock farmers in Lambwe Valley reported increased tsetse in the region. Here is Oko Kusa with that report.
Here at Ogando village in Suba sub-county, there is a free medical camp. And the patients have turned up in their hundreds. Both the old and the young have come, some covering up to 6 kilometers to get here.
After 6 months, there are certain bodies coming, but a big one like this, we've not received.
We have had challenges working with this different government in terms of stakeholders. So this is part of sensitization, and it's part of showing them how it can be done together without competition.
In a county where getting veterinary services can only be equated to finding a needle in a haystack, such clinics are definitely godsend.
Farmers are getting very low level of services. Even the ones who are located, who are at the ward level, you know, some of them are still demanding that they must be facilitated, they must be given motorbikes.
The CEC says that though there is at least one veterinary officer in all the 40 wards within the county, the population of animals that require their services is huge. Though tsetse control still remains a national government function, the county government of Homa Bay, according to Aguko, has been forced to join the fight in a bid to tame the menace.
But as a county government, we can't sit and watch our animals dying and people getting poorer and poorer every day. So the current financial year, we were able to push a provision of 5 million. If you were to get our budget, you will be able to see, to top up what KWS and Kentek are doing in dealing with the tsetse menace in Homa Bay County.
There is no sector of this economy which is not affected by tsetse flies, be it in education, be it in health, be it in agriculture, be it in industrialization. Because Kenya is an agricultural country, so anything that is affecting agriculture will affect the entire multi-sectoral approach of the strategy.
Kenya Tsetse and Trypanosomiasis Eradication Council, Kentek, has been conducting free tsetse screening, diagnosis and treatment in Suba South and Suba North constituencies where 1,172 animals were treated for Nagana. Now, tsetse fly, also known as the poverty insect, is commonly found in tropical Africa. It causes a disease in livestock known as Nagana. Nagana weakens and lowers milk productivity in cattle and at the same time impairs fertility.
Haya watoto wa ndama wanapozaliwa, wengine wanakuwa abortion, wengine hapana zaliwa kwa njia mzuri. Kama unazaliwa unaona kama imekonda. Hiyo ng'ombe baada ya hapo hata mama yake atakufa. Hata mtoto pia atakufa.
Besides Homa Bay, there are 38 more counties in Kenya infested by tsetse fly. Oko Kusa, NTV.
Staying with matters agriculture, fish farmers in Kiambu County have embraced the aquaponic method of fish farming, earning them more produce and profit. The farming combines aquaculture, which is fish farming, and hydroponics, which is a type of crop farming that uses water instead of soil. This enables the farmers to save space and engage in 2 kinds of farming at the same time. The farmers have tanks that allow water to circulate through the fish ponds, filters and plant beds before flowing back into the ponds. The nutrient-rich water that comes from the ponds provides a natural source of fertilizer for the growing plants. The plants, on the other hand, purify the water in which the fish live.
How far is mommy?
Aquaponic offers a good platform to create employment for the youth and women, plus other vulnerable groups, even including able people. Yeah, because then we have a big population that we need to feed. So the county government can take advantage of this fact.
On to business. Credit to the private sector could tighten further as a section of banks move to cut back on unsecured lending. The move is aimed at cushioning banks against losses and is designed to create more room for profitability, especially as the new international regulations demand greater preparedness for default by borrowers. Barclays Bank Kenya says it cut back on unsecured lending in 2018, even as it grew its loan book by 5% to 177 billion shillings during the year. Households and businesses in retail, manufacturing and the agriculture sector are some of those who are set to bear the brunt of the trim in unsecured lending.
Our NPLs have basically picked up from about 12 to about 13 billion shillings. It's about 10% increment in there. And the reason for that, we have some specific corporate names in there. And then, of course, the impact also on IFRS 9, contributing to that growth. The areas that have toned down in terms of just looking at the book is any area we consider unsecured, and most of that also on the retail side.
Staying with business, the Emma Kiba government infrastructure bond will start trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange tomorrow, following the closure of the purchase period just hours ago. The NSC, the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, CDSC, and the Capital Markets Authority extended the purchase by 2 days from March the 8th to midnight, March the 10th. The tax-free bond, which is only transacted via the mobile phone, has an interest rate of 10% per annum, which is payable every 6 months. The government is targeting to raise 250 million shillings through this particular issue, as it seeks to raise a total of 5 billion shillings through M. Akiba. On to the international scene, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika arrived at an airbase southwest of the capital Algiers, according to state media. His aircraft on Sunday flew into the Bouteflika military airport from the Swiss city of Geneva, where the 82-year-old leader had a 2-week medical trip. Guinea-Bissau voted on Sunday in legislative elections hoped to end a prolonged leadership deadlock in a country renowned for drug trafficking and instability. The polls closed at 5 p.m. as voting passed off without incident, paving way for vote counting.
Thousands of voters took to polling stations on Sunday as they sought to elect from 21 parties. Went to the polls Sunday for an election in which there could only be one winner. Leader Kim Jong-un's ruling Workers' Party has an iron grip on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, but every 5 years it holds an election for the rubber stamp legislature known as the Supreme People's Assembly. The exercise has all the trappings of votes elsewhere, from electoral rolls to seal
What's well?
Let's have a look at the latest in sports. And the national sevens rugby team collected 1 point from Vancouver leg of the World Rugby Sevens series to drop to 14th on the standings with 18 points. Kenya suffered 5 defeats, 3 in pool matches and 2 in the knockouts on Sunday in Canada, going down 22-14 to relegation. Lost 4-0 away to Zamalek in a CAF Confederation Cup Group D match in Alexandria, Egypt, to drop to the bottom of the standings. Goals by Mahmoud Allah, Yusuf Obama, Ferjani Sassi and Omar El Said won the match for the efficient hosts at the Prizes stood out on the opening weekend of the Super 8 Premier League as the ever-growing fan base following the popular grassroots competition got a taste of what to expect in the new season. East Side champions Jericho All-Stars got their defense of the crown to a bright start after withstanding a late rally from Melta Kabiria to emerge 3-1 winners at the Kamtoyo grounds. Teams Umeme came from a goal down to stand visiting Makongeni Sports Association Masa 3-1 at the Umeme Sports Ground. At the Makongeni grounds, pre-match underdogs and debutants Shauri Moyo Sportif shocked Makadara Junior League SA 1-0. Metro Sports were comfortable 2-0 winners over Newbies Dagoretti at the drive-in grounds. And champions Bayern Munich crushed Wolfsburg 6-0 with 2 goals from the top scorer Robert Lewandowski to move ahead of Borussia Dortmund and lead the Bundesliga on goal difference. 4 days before they host Liverpool in the Champions League last 16 leg, the Bavarians were brutally efficient, scoring twice. Field and Quinton Savage got the title defense off to a perfect start with a narrow victory on the opening round of the 2019 Amiran Kenya National Rally Raid Championship. The pair drove their Century Racing CRT to a slim 35-second win ahead of the similar car of Mike Ross and Martin Piet. Overnight leaders Alasdair Keith and Charles Mosley overcame fuel feed problems to complete the podium finish in their self-built V8 Land Rover. A total of 7 bikes started with Simon Dixon winning the main category, whilst John's Bovard won the inaugural Clubman's section. John, who is a former raid winner as both a co-driver and a driver, now completes the set with a win on bikes too. And an ill Serena Williams retired from the BNP Paribas Open while trailing Spain's Gabin Muguruza 6-3 1-love at Indian Wells. Tournament officials said the former world #1 was suffering from a viral illness. 37-year-old And Citroen's Sebastian Ogier won the Mexican rally as he bridged the gap to Estonian Ott Tänak in the championship standing. Ogier, the world champion 6 years running, beat Tänak by 30 seconds with Welsh driver Elfyn Evans, a further 9. Ducati's Andrea Dovizioso pipped a reigning champion Marc Marquez in the MotoGP season opener in Qatar, with Brit Carl Crutchlow finishing ahead of Alex Rins and Valentino. That's the latest in sports. A lot more in our subsequent bulletins, but for now, back to you, Olive.
Thank you, Twal. Now, this special report closes NTV at 1. Parenting is difficult. The more the children you have, the more the challenging the task. Riziki Karisa knows this too well, being a mother of 10. NTV visited her home in Bamba, Kilifi County to understand the challenges she faces, and that led her to the decision to never carry another pregnancy. Hers, unfortunately, is the story of many girls in Kilifi County, forced into early sexual encounters and pregnancies that pile up as the years go by. Charity Mwangi brings this report.
This is Riziki, aged only 34 and a mother of 10. She lives here with her husband and children. Her life is hectic, to say the least. She's always on the move from dawn till dusk, cooking something, washing something, or attending to someone's need.
Kuwalea watoto 10 ni shida sana. Hata hao wengine. Kuna huyo wa kwanza kabisa huyo. Sasa analisha vigombe hivi vya watu. Akipata shilingi kwa hiyo mwenyewe hata hawezi kula. Na hao wengine walisema wacha tuende. Wakaenda nibaki na hawa. Sasa hawa pia naona ni wengi. Lakini kwa vile ni wangu, kile nilichopata wanakula hicho. Nikaamuka kama atasha yule ambaye anaenda shule, atasha kabisa wale wengine. Wanakula pamoja uji, wanaenda huyo wa shule, mimi nabaki na wale wanangu ambao wamebaki.
Riziki's husband Karisa is equally busy. His house is in need of repairs. He uses sisal to cover up the gaping holes on the walls to keep off the cold breeze at night.
Hii kama hili boma langu linaanguka. Inabidi hii ni kamba. Inaitwa makonge. Ndio ninafungia alafu nakandika ile udongo. Shughuli yake ni ya kufungia kamba hivi. Hii inaanguka kwa sababu hapa hata ule wakati wa mvua mwingi. Hapa kulikuwa ni kama ziwa hapa. Maji iliingia mpaka ndani mpaka itokeze upande ule. Ikishukia kule ndio maana ilizama hivi.
Hapa ni nani? Neema, Mozesi, Kache, Furaha. Wawili huko, wawili huko. Pale kuna mmoja, siki ni kidogo, kuna mmoja. Sisi wenyewe tutalala kule na Michael na huyo mzee. Haya ni hivyo hivyo.
10 is a huge number to take care of. Add her husband onto that list and it becomes overwhelming. It's almost dinner time, and so Riziki would have to hurry and prepare something for her children before nightfall. She rushes to her neighbor's home to fetch fire, as she has no budget for luxuries such as matches. She is on survival mode, and that means spending money on necessities.
Sasa leo napikia watoto wangu sima, mboga ni kumbu. Asubuhi kiwa sina chai nawapikia uji wakule. Mchana nawapikia kilo 2 sima. Jioni kilo 2 zimekuwa kilo 4 kwa siku. Pesa kwangu ni kidogo kidogo. Unaona uko shule huko sijalipa hata shilingi 10. Wako huko tusulisika kuna uhuru naongeza watoto wa secondary na peleka sijui ni misaada na hao watoto wangu nao wakaenda. Lakini kwa vile kufikia sasa hii mmoja ana miaka 2, mmoja hata aliingia juzi mwaka huu bado hajafukuzwa. Ndio nami roho yangu nasema penginepo uhuru amepeleka lakini sijapeleka chochote. Maana sina kazi.
The situation is worrying even to the man of the house.
Gharama, kuna mahitaji mengi ambayo ningependa kile kizuri lakini sasa sina. Yaani kujuta kwangu ni ile wawe wanakosa mahitaji, huwa nasikia kuumia sana ndani ya roho yangu. Kabisa, na hata hao wenyewe pia. Unaweza ukapata mtoto labda analia. Kwa mfano huyu alikuwa anaenda form 1. Alilia kabisa haswa anaota kwenda huko shule. Alafu sasa hajapata yale mahitaji. Hao sasa nishawaza tayari na ni wangu. Kwa hivyo kama nilivyokuambia nasikia uchungu kama kitu amekosa.
Riziki got married at the tender age of 12. Though they seem in love with her husband now, the beginning of their marriage was devoid of the romance many couples share. When the then 25-year-old Karisa Kaingu-Nyiro wanted to settle down, he walked into Riziki's father's homestead in the village of Pakakumi in Ganze, Kilifi County, and asked for a girl to marry. Riziki was chosen by her father to accompany Karisa to their new home. She did not dare defy her father.
Wakati Karisa ananioa, nilikuwa niko mzuri sana. Lakini kufikia saa hii, nimekuwa hata sijiwezi na watoto 10. Nimelela.
That was 1997. Fast forward 22 years and Riziki has carried a pregnancy every 2 years, totaling to 10 pregnancies, numerous clinic visits, and finally 10 visits to the hospital for the delivery of the 10 children. Her husband loves and takes pride in all 10, the good, the bad, and the downright cheeky.
Wote utawapata wako tofauti. Kuna mwingine labda anapenda mwenzake, mwingine hata ukiangalia hivi hata labda pengine kama hauko karibu anaweza kumnyima kitu, pengine hata chakula vile wanavyokula hapendi mwenzake apate. Unaona sasa, lakini sasa kwa vile mimi nikiwako, kwa sababu wote ni wangu, sitakubali vile, nataka wote hata kama ni kidogo wapate. Wote wananifurahisha, lakini sana mara nyingine ni kama yule mdogo inabidi, manake huja nikambeba na ananifurahikia na mimi pia namfurahikia, nampenda sana kabisa.
Karisa and Riziki had planned to have 5 children only, but the intention to get Riziki on a hormonal family planning regime failed, largely due to the numerous childbirths coupled with the lack of proper nutrition that resulted in a low hemoglobin level.
Unajua kuna ile family planning mtu haimufai. Pengine aliona mwenzake ikawa anamletea matatizo. Na yeye akakata kabisa, alafu na singefikia hii family kama angekuwa mkubali bibi.
Enda nikapimwa, kasema damu yangu ni kidogo, haishikani na hata uwekwe sindano ya miaka 5, unaweza hata ukakufa. Maana huna damu ya kutosha. Kwa vile umezaidisha kuzaa, hata hiyo damu imeweza kutoka yote. Haya, na nikaogopa basi. Kasema niingize sindano nikufe. Tafadhali ninateseka lakini naangalia.
Women come with a hemoglobin of even 6, or the highest you see is 10. You never see the normal range. Why? Because these women, number one, maybe they might be having infestation of hookworms, which they drain your blood. Number two, nutrition. Their food is mainly carbohydrate, ugali, and maybe, if available, the local greens called mchicha, maybe they eat. But when it is very dry, they can eat their ugali with only what we call kiluma, which is salt and water.
Riziki's love for her children is told by the nets hanging over her children's beds, the care and pride she takes in mothering them, more so the little Michael. Riziki believes that he is the last of her brood, and so she relishes on her final lap of motherhood. She put in an intrauterine device popularly referred to as a coil to ensure she does not get pregnant again.
Mimi mwenyewe najua hapo ndio mwisho. Nimefikiria na kuteseka na wale watoto 10, hata nikaona hapo ndio mwisho. Siwezi ongeza tena. Juzi nikasema wacha niende kupanga. Nikaweka ile ya miaka 12. Sasa hata kama natoa hiyo nitatoa mtoto kweli. Sitakuwa limeenda sana. Sitazaa.
She tries to be present in her children's lives, more so her 3 girls. Her eldest daughter, Neema, is 12 years old, the same age Riziki was when she got into motherhood. She dreads the thought of her daughter going through what she went through.
Naongea nao kama ni jioni vile tumekaa. Ndio nawaambia tabia mbaya mimi sitaki. Ukisoma vizuri na shida ambayo mimi niko nayo, utakuwa sawa. Ni mambo ya madisco huwa mimi sipendi. Najua huko kwetu mtu akifa kuna madisco. Na ile ndio ambayo inaharibu wasichana. Na mimi mwanangu sitaki aende. Nataka kitoka shule aje afanye kazi hapa na aende akalale.
Kilifi Health CEC Anissa Omar tells us that early sexual debut and pregnancies is considered a crisis in Kilifi and stems out from the poverty amongst the local communities.
If I give you the figures of 2016, we had around 11,000 girls who got pregnant. And I'm talking of adolescent children from 10 years to 19 years. Then, 2017, it escalated to 12,000 pregnancies. 2018, last year, by around November, we were around 13,000. I'm sure if we go now deep into the data up to December, you might have probably the numbers have added up.
The reality is that most girls will get into romantic relationships by the time they get to puberty for one reason or the other. The county is now seeking to control their birth rate in order to ease the burden not just on the would-be parents but also on the county.
Instead of us waiting for women to come to the clinic, let's go for them to the household.
They have their work cut out for them as the lifestyle here presents a challenge to their mission.
When there's poverty and the girls are there, maybe there's no food in the house. So what happens is that the family marries the girl early. So we have early marriages so they can get income. Or if that was not the case, they get into a relation to a boda boy who gives her some pocket money, buys her some food, gives her time, and they start a relation when they are early. And that's how they become pregnant.
Neema, who is in class 2, is cleaning the utensils. It's now bath time. The children will soon be clean and ready for dinner, and they will need clean cups to drink some water and wash down the ugali and omena soup. She's ambitious and desires a different life from her current one.
Nikifuata mamangu nitapata kazi Mombasa. Nitakuwa namletea pesa akipika asubuhi. Anasema nikienda shuleni nifuate ya kusoma. Nisifuate vijana. Sema nikifuata vijana nitaleta mtoto mapema.
She rushes to the river to find more water. Clean water is a luxury, but they are lucky to have this spot where water collects, though they have to share it with livestock. Her return means that they can sit down for dinner. Dinner is, however, served out to the younger children first. Riziki gives each child 10 pieces of omena, which they hold in their tiny hands. This ensures that each child gets the equal share of the resources available. Finally, it will be time for Neema to eat. Her parents, in numerous occasions, go without eating. The Karisas are just about to go to bed. They have barely survived today. Tomorrow presents yet another challenge for these parents, but it also brings them a lot closer to the time when all their 10 children will be grown and independent. Charity Mwangi, NTV.